This story begins where many others generally end. At the time, I worked for a detective agency known as HPD, but I couldn't know then what the acronym really meant. I don't think I ever really knew. For a few months, I'd been on the trail of the man the press not very originally renamed Blowtorch. A clue led me to the extreme outskirts of Miami, in a little out-of-the-way suburb that smelled like rotten fish.
Operator, the caller you have dialed is unavailable. Do you want to leave a message?
Bundy, knock it off. Judging from the traffic noise, I'd say you disobeyed my orders.
Hey, I just went out for a ride on my bike. What's the harm?
At 10 in the evening, I told you to stay home. The case is ours. We're already racing to the scene of the tip-off.
But the cavalry's already here, boss. Let me find one of those clues that Blowtorch left for me, and we will stop the next murder before you even divorce your third wife.
I'm on my fourth, Bundy, and I will never understand why that killer keeps leaving clues just for you.
Do you need to ask? Because I'm his archenemy, his nemesis, his worst nightmare.
More like he enjoys leaving you every time grasping a handful of air.
Oh yeah. Remind me again, old man. Who stopped the Puerto Rican surgeon and the arsonist of the southeast coast? And what about the...
All old news, Bundy. You haven't caught a break for a long time, and for months you've been following Blowtorch without any results. Why don't you go on holiday and let us do the work?
I'm in Miami, dude. Working here is a holiday.
I'm serious, Lars. Give it up.
Listen, boss. I will limit myself to a stealth approach. Identify the victim's flat. I write everything down. I smoke a cigarette. I admire the skyline. I wait for reinforcements. No shootout planned.
That would be difficult, since you never carry a gun with you.
Well, once a chick told me that the weapon at my side makes me clumsy.
Don't cause any shit, Bundy. We'll be there in a short while.
Okay. That means I have a short while to solve this case.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Bundy, don't screw things up, or I swear...
At previous crime scenes, we always found a letter addressed to me, abandoned in the mailboxes. This time, maybe, I would be able to find that letter before the crime was committed. But I had to hurry. A horrible antique coin eater. Maybe there was still something useful in Green Dart's flask. Normally I would have filled it with scotch, but I didn't want to find myself in Orlando investigating a red whale again. Like last time. Hey, there really was some scotch after all. Scotch tape, I mean. The alley led around the building to the right. Before examining the area, though, I had to make sure I was in the right place. The door was one of those you could only open through an electric impulse. I wouldn't be able to force it open, even if it was a normal model. I've always been a washout as a burglar. A Frizzo's vending machine. The worst cola ever tasted by a human being. The engine was working though, although the machine wasn't active anymore. I could sense its warmth. A Frizzo's vending machine. The engine. By that time, they were all using those instant messaging pro. As always, I was out of credit. I looked at the various mailboxes and found what I was looking for. An abandoned envelope with no writing or stamps. The only problem remaining was how to open the mailbox. Maybe using something thin for leverage. It was equipped with a normal lock, very easy to destroy with a minimum of sheer force. Nevertheless, it was impossible to do it with my bare hands. Maybe using something thin for leverage. My beloved badge. How much abuse and harassment I was able to accomplish using that simple square of fabric. Ah, those were the days. It was equipped with a nevertheless, maybe. It was an indestructible model, but I still didn't want to use it as a chisel. Sometimes, my obsession with using random items didn't lead anywhere. My badge wasn't exactly the right tool to wedge this open with, but it was worth a try. The only thing I accomplished was jamming the badge into the narrow crack above the mailbox. The badge was so jammed that it didn't move an inch. I couldn't buzz the whole building without a clue. I couldn't buzz the whole... The name on the button told me absolutely nothing. A mural signed P. Gold. I saw many others like that around the city. The inscription implied that J.J. Urham was stupid. I was tempted to buzz to verify. I couldn't buzz the whole building. I couldn't buzz the whole building without a clue. A telephone number erased unceremoniously. It was surely the joke of some happy-go-lucky prankster. The name on the button told me absolutely nothing. An antique and horrible coin eater. The only way in seemed to be the emergency ladder. The fire escape reached the upper floor of the building. I didn't understand how that could possibly help me. That stuff tasted like chewing gum stuck under a desk for a month. I know that because at school I never had the money for snacks, so I picked up those. Was it really worth it? A Sfrizzo's vending machine, with the engine. As much as I loved wandering around on green dart in the middle of the night, I had work to do. The badge was so jammed that it didn't move an inch. The door was one of those you wouldn't be able to force it open, even if it was a normal model. I've always been a washout as a burglar. I didn't understand how that could. Sometimes, my obsession with using random. Better think about it. Better. As always. In that moment, it didn't seem to be a good solution to. The alley led around the building to the right. Before examining the area, though, I had to make sure I was in the right place. Here's what the taxpayers' money was being used for. The conditions of that sidewalk were getting worse. A stone bigger than the others just fell off the sidewalk. And who was I not to accept the kind gifts from Providence? The way it was stuck, the badge would act as a chisel. As usual, the letter was ripped and written with invisible ink. With Scotch tape, I would be able to easily reassemble it. Well, I'd have to think about the invisible ink later. I would have stuck the Scotch tape in the back of the letter, so as to obtain the best readability. I always hated puzzles. If I have to waste time on this... I hate this stuff. Once I received a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle as a present. I sold it to my nephew. It wasn't as difficult as I feared. At that point, I just had to find a way to read the message hidden in the letter. Well, I remembered that to reveal invisible ink, you just have to warm it. Where could I find a source of heat that late at night? There was nothing else in the flask. As much as I loved wandering around, the vending machine's engine emitted a faint heat, maybe intense enough to show the hidden writing on the letter. At first, nothing happened. I was about to give up when it happened. The first characters appeared. The letters were always kindly addressed to me. Blowtorch's tone ranged from disappointment to encouragement, with a barely concealed desire for recognition. The forensic guys had no doubt about the gender of the killer just after the first murder. The reason for their certainty wasn't the accuracy of the burns, so much as the various bruises found on the bodies, which displayed extraordinary force. The usual outburst in the middle of a letter that until then seemed thoughtful and balanced. Then I saw the emoticon at the end of the paragraph. That was new. I guess Blowtorch tried to be funny at times, the only result being to appear even creepier. The last paragraph was surely hiding a clue. The murderer was even directing us to a specific profession. The initials in the last paragraph were found in the previous letter, but they were too vague a clue to narrow down the scope of the investigation. The usual closing format. Blowtorch constantly described himself as a normal citizen and a regular taxpayer. I don't know why, but that format made me mad. The usual closing format. I don't know. I had already revealed the hidden I couldn't buzz the whole building without a clue. Someone left a stupid smiley on the intercom. That face. In his earlier letters, Blowtorch never left anything similar. I took a mental note. That smile left on the letter and the one on the intercom were identical, so I could rule out a simple coincidence. I had just identified the apartment I was looking for. The apartment was registered to a certain G. Glover. I hoped I got there in time.
Yes? Who is it?
I'm Detective Bundy from HPD. If you don't mind, I need to ask you some questions. He didn't answer immediately. Moments of total silence passed, during which I thought he had hung up.
Sorry for the hesitation, but I really don't understand what you would want from me. I'm just a normal citizen who...
Yes, of course. But I really need, and I mean really need, to talk to you. With a certain urgency, too. Can you open the front door?
I hate to be a killjoy, but you have a warrant. I don't want to get into trouble with my landlord.
You know what? I guess I forgot it in my other hand. Anyway, I already told you that...
Listen, the landlord is a real pain in the ass, and I don't want any trouble.
If it's such a big deal, you won't have any problem coming back with a warrant. Good night. In my entire career, I had never been mistreated like that by someone I had to protect. Despite the fact that the guy was an idiot, I couldn't let him be killed in cold blood. Besides the front door, the only visible way in seemed to be the fire escape above. That ladder would have been the perfect way in, but it was too far. That ladder would have... The stone was ideal for hitting the ladder's security lock. The problem was that I couldn't see it from my position. Ace Frizzo's vending the engine. The stone was ideal for hitting the ladder's security lock. The problem was that I couldn't see it from my position. The ladder, maybe in that alley, I would find alternative access to the building. It didn't seem so high from the street. In that moment, I thought of the hundreds of baseball games I'd seen while living in America, and I had a real moment of epiphany. The greatest champions in history were looking at me from the sky, cheering for me and waving their arms. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the newest member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Lazarus Stonearm Bundy! Give it up for the only, the incomparable, Lazarus Bundy! Lazarus Bundy in my place. Who'd have thought it? Here's my man. All 7'5" of a man, to be exact. Well, so much the better. If things got out of hand, he could protect me. Lazarus Bundy, what are you doing? I still had some surprises in store for you. Instead, it's already time to put an end to our game. Just then, I knew I misunderstood the whole situation.
Other word.
Things went down dramatically. I had no gun, as always, and I had to deal with a mastodon ready to kill his next victim. Burton would surely arrive with backup shortly after. But, how shortly? Moreover, we were convinced we had to protect the man who instead just revealed himself to be the monster we were hunting. I thought of sending a text to warn him, but I had no credit on my phone, having accidentally subscribed to a live weather service. I was in more danger than ever, but at least I knew the weather was fine in Baltimore. One thing was for sure, I couldn't wait anymore.
Impossible.
Freeing the girl was going to be way more difficult than that.
No. Yes.
I was all out of ideas. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't see a good reason to do that.
No.
I was all out of ideas.
No, Cabran.
I thought it was better to look for another solution.
Same place.
Blowtorch would have
Yes.
seen me as soon as he turned back.
No.
That beast towered over me, but a bottle in the right spot
Possible.
would put anyone to sleep. I had to hold my breath. The slightest noise would betray me. Never mind.
No.
With bare hands, I would barely...
What the fuck? Yes.
I was wasting my
No,
time.
Cabran. What the fuck? Yes. I told you to close that sewer hole, you slut! If I hear even one more whisper, I'll be forced to use more brutal methods than usual. Is that clear? Yes.
Freeing the girl was going to be way more difficult than that.
No. No, Cabran. No.
I just have gone from the frying pan into the fire.
Same place.
Change the channel, right now. I wanted to see how the movie ended.
Impossible. No. Could be.
He already had his own, and I was short on credit.
Impossible.
Showing her my badge would have been pointless.
Impossible.
In her situation, she would have accepted a garbage man as her savior.
Impossible. No. No. No, Cabran.
Freeing the girl was...
Impossible.
I just have gone from the frying pan into the fire.
No, Cabran. Could be.
Trying to use the lamp as a makeshift weapon would have meant walking the entire length of the room twice. If I wanted to die, I could have found a more glorious method, such as jumping out naked after drawing a target on my chest. I started to come up with something, but I couldn't completely focus.
Yes.
No matter how hard I tried,
Yes.
breaking his TV would have been ecstasy,
Yes.
but not enough to put my neck on the line.
Yes.
Change the channel, right?
Same place.
With bare hands, I would...
Same place. Could be. Same place.
A genuine paradox.
Yes.
A genuine paradox.
Yes.
I started to come up with something.
Yes.
I started to come up with something, but I couldn't completely focus.
No, Cabron. Same place.
I only had a game. The one with the... I was complete rubbish at video games. I had a pretty good idea of how to distract the threatening big guy.
Same place. No.
I was desperate and in dire straits. I could do nothing but go for broke.
Impossible. Look what you made me do, slut. First, I need to recover that damn phone that I still don't know how you managed to keep from me. Then, we'll settle up.
Freeing the girl was going to be...
What the fuck?
Stay calm. I'll get you out of here in a split second. Hurry! Run! I'll hold him. The blowtorch case didn't go as I'd hoped. Instead of the savior, I found myself impersonating the damsel in distress. Luckily, Burton came just in time to get me out of the doghouse. In contrast to his usual MO, Blowtorch was about to take my head off with his bare hands. The signs on my neck would take weeks to disappear completely. I got suspended from the service indefinitely, obviously, and I would soon discover that sitting on my hands would never be a part of my life again. I found the Miami Harbinger under my door. as I had every day since I'd subscribed to their delivery service. I immediately saw the blurb on the front page. Blowtorch had been identified as David Ramos, an ordinary man who made a living working as a plumber. The initials, the plumbing job, everything matched the information found in the letters. That crazy guy had given us, little by little, his complete identikit. The envelope sticking out didn't have a normal appearance. A cold shiver passed down my spine. Had I just received yet another letter from Blowtorch? I immediately noticed the strange seal with which it had been secured, but I would think about that later. With a trembling hand, I set out to pull out the letter. On the paper was an address and a series of meaningless numbers. Nothing else. Ramos was giving me an appointment in a West Miami alley, but that wasn't the most absurd thing. The most absurd thing is that I'd probably have gone. The newspaper could still provide useful information to me. Despite Burton's timely intervention, Ramos was able to disappear into the night and not get caught. At least now the public knew his real identity. A man would struggle to move freely. The leading story dealt with the disappearance of a young girl, the daughter of a certain Mulzberg. Apparently, he was one of the richest and most powerful men in the city. Nevertheless, I had never heard of him before. The journalist was doubting the real disappearance of the teenager, assuming she was a runaway instead. I wonder what clues she could have had that led to such speculation. So Ramos was back after just a few hours on the run, ready to pick up our challenge where it left off. In the meantime, the Miami Harbinger was publishing news about the disappearance of the Mulzberg scion that occurred the night before. What if she was the victim chosen by Blowtorch? I should seek out more information. The morning news was being aired right then. Maybe there was still time to catch the final minutes of it. That TV had every possible function, including toasting bread, but not a bloody damn power button. I needed the remote control if I wanted to turn it on. What the hell was my remote control doing in there? The TV didn't turn on. The batteries were probably dead, and the closest retailer was half an hour away by foot. Damn batteries. There must be some way to give you even a little boost. With blood and sweat, I had completed that collection of action figures when I was a kid. After Green Dart, it was my biggest triumph. It kept the device thermostat held in position. Removing it would drop the temperature as low as it could go. But, alright, I rarely ate the junk food in my fridge anyway. Better think about it. Sometimes, my obsession with using random items didn't lead anywhere. I was all out of ideas. Claudio, the owner of the bar where I worked many years before. Sitting at the piano was his wife. Della tried many times to teach me to strum, but with very bad results. I didn't want anything from the bar. I barely drank, especially when I was working on a case. With blood and sweat, I had completed that collection of action figures when I was a kid. After Green Dart, it was my biggest triumph. I had nothing to hang at the moment, and there was nothing interesting among the items already posted. The poster claimed that the cold filled you with energy. I wondered if that was true. I always preferred the sea to the mountains. The poster claimed that I wondered if...
read somewhere once that a dead battery could regain a small amount of energy in an extremely cold environment. Could it be true, this story of batteries recharging in the cold? Hey, maybe that's what igloos are. Huge batteries shaped like houses. Oh, that would explain why Eskimos wear gloves, to prevent electric shocks. It was time to discover if my limited physics knowledge would help me or not.
The house of famous tycoon Kathrin Mulzberg, where an attempted break-in was reported last night. No statement has been released either from the police or the family, so the specifics of the offense are still shrouded in mystery. The only detail that has been leaked so far is some strange graffiti drawn on the front of the mansion, probably left by the same individual or group that attempted the late-night illegal entry. As you can see behind me, the symbol appears to have been applied using an enormous quantity of blood, perhaps of a human nature. We await confirmation on the origin of the liquid, with hopes that it isn't the blood of young Kathrin Mulzberg. Stay tuned to this network for further developments. From Gwendolyn Pratt, back to you in the newsroom.
That symbol on the wall. I saw it even before that swine of a hack opened her mouth. It was identical to the seal on the letter I had just received. I had no doubt anymore. Blowtorch was pulling out all the stops to finish our challenge in style.
I toyed with the idea of contacting Burton to bring him up to speed on the situation, but I scrapped that thought. If I could close the case myself, my superiors would be forced to reinstate me into the department. Was it really worth the risk of falling straight into a trap? Or was I kidding? I was never the kind of man to back down from a challenge, no matter how dangerous it may be. It was high time to let the world see what I was worth. I wouldn't be remembered as the detective that let one of the worst serial killers in the history of Miami slip away.
Those numbers had to mean something.
I had to recover my cell phone before leaving. Bobby was down there for a reason, to protect me from nightmares. I'd remove it only in case of extreme need.
Bobby the bear. Lately he'd been slacking off, judging by the number of nightmares tormenting me.
The cell phone was inside the nightstand, comfortably resting in the underwear drawer. When I bent down to pick it up, I found myself looking at my parents' photograph. Mom and Dad, on holidays in Greece during their honeymoon. Dad with his typical sly look, Mom with an unlikely 80s rock star hairstyle. We always used to make fun of her for that juvenile look. How long it had been since I left Italy? And them. Looking at that photo always left me with a sour taste in my mouth, but that wasn't the right time to get lost in memories. I had a cell phone to retrieve and an investigation to continue. The night before, I'd even been able to deactivate that paid weather service. I could finally use the phone to do what it was designed for, making phone calls.
Just having to talk to him in person from time to time was enough. Besides, my phone calls with Wheeler lasted 20 seconds at most, then he hung up. Anti-interception measures, he said. I wondered what my mother was doing at that precise moment. It had been years since we last spoke. Anyway, I had other things to worry about. I'd rather talk to him in person.
The thing to do next was retrieve Green. My beloved bike had been left at the HPD the night before. To recover it, a long walk awaited me. Hey Richie, how's it going?
Hello, Lazarus.
Richard, We've been neighbors for 5 years now. What do you think about finally calling me Lars?
I like the sound of Lazarus.
There's something magnetic about it, don't you think?
Speaking of magnetism, do you still have that magnet I loaned you?
Yeah, well, it's complicated.
What do you mean by complicated? You didn't lose it, did you?
No, not lost. No. I used it in a secret mission.
My magnet. In a secret mission.
Very, very secret. So secret I can't tell you anything about it.
Well, do me a favor and get it back to me as soon as possible. It's a fond family memory.
And that's what it would remain for poor Richard. A memory. Any good news in the mailbox?
Once you could find love letters inside. Now it's just bills and a mountain of advertising. Do you even read the advertisements they send you?
No, I just use it to ignite the coal at the barbecues with my colleagues.
See you soon, Richie.
Sure, at next Sunday's residents meeting. You'll come, right?
I have a previously scheduled engagement.
Sorry, did I say Sunday? I meant Saturday.
Even worse, I have to attend a funeral.
Oh, too bad. Then my condolences.
The only one who'd die would be me if I went to another one of those stupid meetings of boredom. I found a very bad surprise waiting for me outside the office. Those idiots in the department had pierced a tire of my beloved green Dart. Furthermore, the bike was locked to the streetlight with its chain. We, though, probably had the keys, but for the tire, I would have to come up with something. One thing was for sure, I wouldn't leave the HPD without my green Dart.